All right. Hello, nephews, nieces, and anyone else who's watching. Just played the Saboteur, and I'm doing a double record tonight. So, just started out on this game. The title is Dear Esther. It's one of these games that is almost hard to call a game. It's in the genre that I've heard described as walking simulator, because you just walk around this island. It is a very beautiful island. Look at all the gorgeous plants, the rough, firm, solid dirt and rocks. And
Donnelly's
over
book
there.
had not been taken out from the library since 1974. I decided it would never be missed as I slipped it under my coat and avoided the librarian's gaze on the way out. If the subject matter is obscure, the writer's literary style is even more so. It is not the text of a stable or trustworthy reporter. Perhaps it is fitting that my only companion in these last days should be a stolen book written by a dying man.
And then, some places, sometimes, when you get to a place, you get to hear that guy talk. It's hard to tell who that guy is, or why we would care about what he says. But I guess we do.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Oh, okay, so there's some weird mind-destroying zombie virus type of infection on this island? I mean, I hope not. I'm on the island. I'd rather not have my mind destroyed. This is getting kind of intriguing, actually. I was kind of set to make fun of it, but I'm starting to be a little bit fascinated. Because he's saying like that there's something that destroys your mind. But there's some hints. So earlier I saw someone had painted on the wall the chemical formula for ethanol. Down there it looks like is a logarithmic spiral, golden spiral. That looks like a figure based on the golden ratio, which is related to, I think it's a logarithmic spiral. It might be spirals, but it's what shows up in conch shells and other kind of figures in nature. It's one of the interesting properties of the Fibonacci sequence. So there's something going on. Is this a weird statue or just a log? Just a log. Not or I think it's actually a rock. Sadly, not a terribly well rendered rock when you get that close to it. I kind of like these flowers. You can kind of see the 2D-ness of the texture when you get up close to them. Yeah, you can get really close. Yeah, those are definitely like 2D textures, back and forth. Don't stand up to close scrutiny, but that's fine. That's fine.
We are not like Lot's wife, you and I.
Lots
We feel no particular need to turn back. There's nothing to be seen if we did. No tired old man parting the cliffs with his arms. No gifts or Bibles laid out on the sand for the taking. No tides turning or the shrieking gulls overhead. The bones of the hermit are no longer laid out for the taking. I have stolen them away to the guts of this island, where the passages all run to black, and where we can light each other's faces by their strange luminescence.
thought it was a little extreme, but I don't know. Maybe she's not wrong. It'd be nice to have a name to go with that. It'd be nice to have a name with kind of go with that expression. Well, although maybe there's something poetic about Lot's wife, about the turning, the looking back and being turned a pillar of salt. That you lose your life, not just because you're turned into a pillar of salt, but because you won't be remembered if you remember too much. Or I don't know. Might have to give that some more time, and if I do, I might just find out online there's nothing that interesting or symbolic about that. Interestingly, that pillar of salt thing, like that comes from sort of a legend or just a property. But out around the Dead Sea, you do get these pillars of salt, and they can look human, and it's kind of weird, kind of freaky. And so you definitely see how, a legend about how, this human-ish pillar of salt will be showing up across the land. And so that's probably where the whole Lot's wife pillar of salt thing at least originates in part from. So anyway, yeah, Dear Esther. Kind of an interesting experience here. Yeah, definitely not pulse-pounding action, though. Doing most. Yeah, I mean, it's just walking around, slowly walking around. I suppose it's. And, this is an interesting thing. The artistic intent behind, not having a run button, not even having that much you can do other than walk around is something to consider. I mean, if you want to create kind of a contemplative atmosphere, that's reasonable to say, yeah, I just want the player to be thoughtful and considering what's going on here. You do have to give them something interesting to consider, and maybe what is the thing? I mean, you're supposed to be invested in the characters, or you're supposed to be curious about what happened on the island. And this is one of these things about an artsy game, and I think just the sort of like fine art type of attitude and process and work in general is sometimes I go, okay, I think that...
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Let me walk up to there and not go down or something. So, yeah, a lot of this sort of fine art, and it shows up in these more artsy video games too. It starts, at some point, it starts begging the question, are you being significant? Are you telling an interesting story or presenting interesting ideas, or are you being impenetrable and just doing it in a aesthetically pleasing enough way that you're expecting some people to defend you and people to act and making it seem like you have more going on than you actually do. And I do think a lot of the sort of fine art, a lot of the stuff that wants to be a little more taken seriously as this is art type of a thing is doing that. I think there is kind of a problem when art gets a little more interested in even if it is more interested in being interesting than it is entertaining. I think that starts to be a problem, but you can get some beautiful things out of that have a great deal of value. But I definitely think there's a decent amount of art these days that is more concerned with being interesting than it is beautiful. And I think this is where, this kind of, you need an art degree to actually appreciate art comes up. And I honestly find that a bit of a bankrupt analysis of, of course it's very insulting, it's a, way to elevate oneself as, I'm an artist, I'm better than everyone else because I understand art, and if you don't, you're just a pathetic pleb. I'm one of the elites of this world who truly understands things. And I don't broke that attitude. I'm not okay with that. It's knock that off. Richard, I know you were hoping I'd get crazy. I probably didn't get as crazy as you wanted in the saboteur. I tried. I tried to climb off and jump off the Eiffel Tower, but I got shot, so I wasn't able to. So, I kind of listened back to that video. Sorry about the sound balance on that one. I know it ended up not having great sound, like the game was a little too loud. Hopefully that won't be the case with this one. Not my best work, but don't feel like that game deserved my best work, which I'll put in the video comments, so probably don't need to be restating it here. But again, this game's just kind of being impenetrable, not necessarily being interesting enough, so I'm just kind of starting to talk about other games, which I guess means it's time for this video to be over. So, Andon, I hear you've been playing a lot of Roblox. I think that's a bad game, probably, but I haven't played it, so maybe I'll actually pick that up and check it out later. Who knows? I might actually end up enjoying it. But don't hold your breath. I'll probably just have a chance to tell you why you're not that culturally sophisticated. Although, I got to admit, I kind of led myself into a trap saying that right after I talked about how believing your feelings about art are superior to someone else's. So
the vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that.
The
It is all
vegetation
sick
looks
to
fine.
death.
Other than
The water is too
being
polluted for the
clearly
fish.
2D and not
The sky
necessarily
is too
rendered.
thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds.
Yeah,
I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer.
whoa.
That we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and rib cage, with enough
Whoa.
left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Okay, getting dark there, Mr. Mysterious Narrator. But yeah, this place looks okay for now. Like, is it somewhere else you're talking about? Am I getting these letters from somewhere far away? Is this the last nice place on Earth? I don't know. This game is deep because it's asking these questions. Forces you to think. So deep. Yeah, so hey, maybe Roblox is good. Just a fun game, not, insufferably impenetrable like maybe this game is, although maybe there's something interesting. I don't know. I'll probably play it a little more and maybe I'll find out. Maybe I won't. I don't know. There really is just kind of. I mean, I can only look at so many pretty island things until it's just like, okay, I've seen pretty island stuff already. I'm done. There's a little bit of, hey, if I want to see pretty island and seashore vistas, I have an aunt that lives in LA. I'll go visit her and walk by the seashore. Like, I want to see the real world. I want to appreciate the real world's beauty. Oh, a loading screen.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location.
So it sounds like he's coming
think there
from, like,
would be
London?
marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome break services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
This island does look kind of British Isle-y. Like, I could see this being off the coast of Wales or something like that. So there's a cargo port. Oh, no, wait, it's a crashed cargo ship. Oh, shipwreck. More mystery. Yeah, so we'll see what games I do next. Get some suggestions in. We'll have to find a way for you guys to talk. I really am curious how you're appreciating the videos, what you think of them, if they're interesting to you, and what your suggestions on, games and gameplay that I should tackle next are. All right, this is kind of interesting. I like this shipwreck, so I think that's a good